Hello and welcome to another one of those lovely Wednesdays where we get to have a look at the Tinto Talks. And of course, today we're going to be talking about the Parliament system in the game. But before we get onto that, how about just like in Parliaments, they vote for things. How about you vote to click the subscribe button? That was a really awkward thing to do, but whatever. Let us get in and have a look at the Parliament system. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Tinto Talk. It is the Happy Wednesday where we give you information about a very secret game with the codename Project Caesar. This week we're talking about parliaments. We have a simple feature with the same name in EU4, but this is rather different, as you will see. We've gone heavily into making this flavourful as well, and many countries have their own unique names for the parliament, where it is the courts in Aragon, the Riksdag in Sweden, and more besides, I'm sure. So, we have parliament here, and we have parliament debate. I am hoping that we're not seeing anything like the Parliament system in E4 because I hate that system. I really do. So, hopefully we get something different. So increased ties to subject, it looks like, is the bonus that you're looking for. Parliament requesting extra taxes for you to prepare for war, or if there's things that you can ask for. Okay. And then they have some parliament agendas here as well. Okay. First off, there are 5 types of parliaments, although technically you could argue that no parliament is a type as well. They're based on the types of gatherings different societies had, which means that in different countries will start with different types of parliament and you'll be able to change it during the game. So we have the assembly is available to all countries. Is it all countries? Because no parliament as well? Is literally all countries have it? Okay. The nobles and peasants can have agendas, but they have a weak impact. All right. Council, they require codified laws advance. The nobles and clergy can have agendas, but they have a weak impact. Here, council, parliamentary system, clergy and parliament, agenda impact. Okay. The estate parliament requires feudalism. The nobles, clergy, and burghers can have agendas. Autocratic, you get that in the age of absolutism. Nobles, clergy, and burghers can have agendas. Crown power is 25% stronger, and you can force through any issue you want in Parliament for a small cost. And then finally, we've got the Constitutional Parliament, another age of absolutism thingamabob. Nobles, clergy, burghers have agendas. Impact is much higher. The noble estate has an improved estate satisfaction. If you wish to let your peasants have a say in the parliament, you can grant them a privilege, but don't say we didn't warn you. Alright, so, calling a parliament, how do you do it? If you're able to hold any type of parliament, you can call them, as long as it's been 5 years since the last parliament was called. If you do not call one for a decade, the estates will get less and less satisfied for each passing month. Hopefully we get some kind of notification at the top of our screen saying it's been 5 years, and then in green, using the amazing traffic light system that EU4 has. And then in red when it's, over 10 years then. When you call a parliament, you get a choice of where the parliament should be held. You can always hold the parliament in your capital, which will give a small boost to centralization, but you also have the option to pick another location. Usually you can pick any town or city, but there are countries that can hold a parliament in rural locations as well. If you pick a place that is not the capital, your country becomes slightly more decentralized, but that location gains a nice bonus for the duration of the parliament, which lasts about a year. Okay, so you get some prosperity, some monthly development, some monthly control, and then proximity source as well. Okay. Temporary mini capital that prospers. Sounds good. You also need to pick an issue that will be the main debate of the parliament as well. You can have up to 2 options per state to choose from where the parliament support where the parliament support you gain. The parliament support you gain depends on the current power in the country. So here are different debates that you can have. You can bolster the government, conduct a census, establishing new hunting grounds, expanding the forest exploitation, the mining operations, the officer lists, fund some farming estates, promote castle costs, promote member of the burghers, and promote member of the clergy. Be nice if we got some kind of info on what these all are, but it does not look like we do. I imagine this is the percent chance of them voting in our favor, I guess, maybe, potentially. And then a symbol just because it's there. Why not? These are also not ordered. So we've got these 2 are crown. We've got peasants, I think that one is. clergy, the burghers, the nobles, and then it's going back to have these in order, maybe. Anyway, Parliament issues. The issue picked has a modifier that is applied to the country while the debate is ongoing. In many cases, this is rather beneficial, but only lasts for the duration of the Parliament. We currently have over 70 different Parliament issues and about a dozen country-specific ones. If you fail to get enough support in Parliament, there'll be a drawback, which is usually a hit to stability. But if you get over 50% backing in Parliament, the country will get some benefits depending on the issue. So, Promote Castle Costs works. Gives you minus 50% cost to castles and stockades, and monthly progress to defensive societal, what's called? Society issues? Society... I forget what the name is, but we saw it a little while ago. Societal... Yeah, words. Societal values, that's the word I'm looking for. Okay. And if the debate passes, they gain fortification works for 10 years, which is this, I imagine. And then if you fail, you lose 7 stability. Okay. Conducting a census, you gain population growth, and you gain some stability if you pass. Okay. In those days, a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be registered. This was the first registration was taken while Quirinius was governor in Syria. All went to their own towns to be registered. Okay. So, Parliament support. What is Parliament support then? You will always have a base support from your current crown power, which is normally rather low unless you have completely crippled your estates. You also have the potential support you get from picking an issue. There are also some government reforms and or advances that increase the base support. So how do you increase the support during a parliament? So we have parliament agendas. You always see what the agendas the estates want to push during a parliament. If you grant them what they want, your parliament support will increase. The amount of parliament support increases is based on the estate power that they have multiplied by their current satisfaction. It makes it beneficial to keep estates happier than the minimum levels if you wish to rely upon them in parliament. These agendas include law changes, changes in societal values, privileges granted, and more. If you accept the agenda of an estate, the next agenda they propose in this session will give far less parliament support. Okay, so if you grant them their autonomy support, you lose a little bit of stability, and then your societal values will change, and they will give you plus 22% towards your parliament, parliament support for whatever you're trying to push. Okay, how many? I mean, we need to get over 50%, and this is giving us 22, which depends on obviously how strong the nobles are in whatever country this happens to be. It does seem like a little bit of a mini game. Like, I really hate the parliament system in EU4. I think it is obnoxious, busy work. This does seem better. It does seem better. It does seem less egregious. But it is still a little bit of a mini game that it seems like you're forced to do every 5 to 10 years. Okay, Parliament requests. You can also use the Parliament support immediately during the session and get a request fulfilled, but it'll reduce your support by 50%. So you can request additional taxes, you can ask for larger levies, ask for law changes, and ask them to prepare for war. So, yeah, collecting more taxes, raise 25% larger levies, change laws at much reduced cost of stability, get you an insulted casus belli on a country of your choice. Okay, I suppose this one's going to be very useful because getting CPs on people seems to be, it's going to be a much more difficult time. I would not recommend hovering closely to 50% if you really want an issue to succeed, as there may be events that could reduce it happening. Okay. And then Parliament seats. We have 2 more things influencing parliaments that might be of interest as well. 2 special buildings that can be created that are counted as Parliament seats, which give extra significance to that location. One's an urban Parliament seat that the burghers can ask for during a parliament, which grants a significant permanent power to the burghers in a town or city. The other one is a rotten borough, which the noble estate will build in rural locations, increasing their power if they're not currently happy. Okay. Before we end, though, ask for some flavour names that you'd like to see for parliaments. They have about 35 at the moment. So, like Riksdag, which was said earlier for the Swedes, I'm sure Germans and French and Spanish and Italians have probably all got their own flavor names. So if you have some like obscure ones that aren't like super obvious, then definitely that would be something to point out to the devs. What do I think of the system? I think it looks like it is not going to be quite as obnoxious as the EU4 Parliament. Because, again, EU4 Parliament, I despise it. I think it is awful. And unfortunately, you kind of are forced to use it in multiplayer because one of the things that you can ask for is like a ton of manpower, which is very useful in war, in multiplayer. So there is that. But I think I don't hate this. But it really does require playing with it to really get a sense of how it actually plays. How many of these agendas am I going to have to accept to get my support to, let's say, 70? If 50 is a little bit too tight, how many am I going to have to do to get to 70? As these agendas here, we currently have 11% support. The nobles are going to give us 22. Clergy is going to only give us 3, and the burghers are only giving us 2. So, like, how many of these agendas am I going to have to do? It's very awkward. Parliament request losing 50 is interesting. Does this number go into the negatives? What happens when that goes into the negatives? And it looks like it's going to take, what, like 200 days for the Parliament to finish? Well, it said it a year, but this does not seem like, if we've got 180 days left and we've only gone about, 10%-ish. It feels like it's less, but I think it is actually a year. Yeah, it all depends on how many of these we're going to have to pass. How many agendas we're going to have to pass. How are we going to be able to get more support? Government reforms to increase base support. So later on, Parliament's going to be a little bit easier. Agendas. It seems like agendas are the only way, right? How do you increase support during a Parliament? Here's the agendas. And then it moves on to Parliament requests where you're spending your support. So it does just look like it is these, and I'm wondering why I would ever change a policy for the burghers or the demand for a new monastery here when lessening the levy obligations is so much like more valuable. Like, sure, lessening levy obligations sounds pretty rancid. Don't really want to do that, but if it's between that or passing 10 agendas for the clergy is yeah. And how many of these will there be? Because right now it's 1 for each. As soon as you pass one, does a new one pop up for them? The next agenda they propose in session will give far less Parliament support. So, okay, as soon as you give them this lessened levy obligations for 22, they'll propose a new one, which might only be 10. And I don't know, I feel like it might be a bit difficult to get over 50. But again, it's almost certainly going to be easier in the later game because you're getting more base support from advances and such. But okay, again, I feel like I'm going to need to play with the system to really understand it and really decide whether it is something I like or not. Right now, I'm wary. Let's put it that way. I am wary. But I would like to know what you guys think of it. Do you like the Parliament system in current EU4? Is a good question as well. And does this seem like an improvement to you? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video if you liked the video. And if you are interested in helping me out at all, then click the subscribe button. It actually does help a significant amount. And I would like it if you did so. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you on, not Friday, because the Spanish have a bank holiday or something along those lines. But on Monday, there will be a Tinto map rework of... where was it that was getting reworked? I have completely forgotten. But I'm sure we'll find out on Monday. I will see you then. Toodaloo. Bye-bye.